Hey guys, HeatleyBros Mike here, and today we are looking at everything we know about Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 3. I have compiled this information from images, tweets and the trailer released by the game's developer Bendy. We are also going to be talking about my own theories for what we can expect to see in Bendy Chapter 3, as well as discussing a possible release date for the game. So sit back, relax and let's do this. Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 1 was very small in scale, and when Chapter 2 launched it expanded on the very simple mechanics of the original chapter, adding in combat, more advanced puzzles, cutscenes and a larger world to explore. Chapter 3 looks to continue this trend, and this also explains the far longer development time the third chapter has faced. In this tweet from May, Bendy said he was working on some interesting Chapter 3 additions. This suggests that we can expect to see further advances in game mechanics once again. There was a second tweet which read, "So many things coming in Chapter 3, so much to do." Now we do know from a recent Q&A video posted by Bendy that Chapter 3 of Bendy and the Ink Machine will include new weapons, so obviously this is one of the new additions mentioned in the tweet. Maybe Henry could have access to more than just melee weapons, perhaps even guns. Another new addition must surely be the inclusion of new characters. At the end of Chapter 2 we come face to face with Boris after narrowly escaping Bendy for a second time. So it is logical to assume Boris will play a major role in Chapter 3. This is backed up by a teaser image released last month by Bendy that featured Boris holding a wrench. The developers also released the following tweets about Boris and his inclusion in Chapter 3. One tweet stated, "Now the important thing to know about Boris in Chapter 3 is, oops, sorry, out of Twitter characters for this post, maybe next time, Bendy certainly is a funny guy." Another tweet remarked, "Boris will return." Outside of Boris we can look to Chapter 2, where we come across a movie poster and audio log for a cartoon character called Alice Angel, who seems a little bit like a female version of Bendy and is voiced by a human character known as Susie Campbell. Alice Angel wears a halo, as you may expect an angel would, and this halo appears in the teaser trailer for Bendy Chapter 3, along with a microphone suggesting Alice will make an appearance in the game's next installment. After all, her tagline is, "She sings, she dances." Another Chapter 3 teaser image revealed an angel's shadow on the wall, and the first screenshot for Chapter 3 also featured the blot of ink that maybe looks a little like a woman brandishing a knife. That same screenshot also included the symbol we associate with a character called Norman Polk, who showed up as an audio log in Chapter 2. It is possible Norman also makes an appearance in Chapter 3, meaning we would be introduced to 3 new characters all in one chapter. So that's all the information we currently have on Chapter 3, but I would like to touch briefly on a few of my own ideas for where Chapter 3 takes place and also where the story may be headed. Let's start with the location. At the end of Chapter 2, we seem to be headed to an area called S3 Vault. The teaser trailer also includes cogs and gears turning, covered in ink, and just before reaching the end of Chapter 2, we come across a flooded ink room where we hear the sound of heavy machinery. In the screenshot for Chapter 3 we see lots of dripping ink, gears on the wall and a valve. Bring all this together and we can form an idea of the location for Bendy Chapter 3. A more industrial area, flooded with ink, and taking place within the heart of the Ink Machine is my best guess. Story-wise, I believe Boris will help Henry, and I have released a theory video a few months back explaining why I believe that the Boris that shows up at the end of Chapter 2 is actually Wally Franks, so check that out for a more detailed analysis. I think we can expect to see Boris factoring into gameplay in a meaningful way, perhaps helping Henry to solve puzzles and using his wrench to close off ink valves, to allow progression in the flooded depths of the S3 Vault. I also think Alice will show up in one of 3 ways, either as A, an ally to Henry who may once again factor into gameplay as a healer of sorts, B, another ink demon like Bendy who poses a threat to the player, or C, as Susie Campbell playing another demented ink disciple like Sammy Lawrence did in Chapter 2. I think as we will be getting more weapons in Chapter 3, it is likely we will have to fight more enemies than before, and I also believe Chapter 3 will be the first time we are given the ability to fight Bendy directly, although obviously not defeat him for good. After all, there's still a Chapter 4 and 5 to come. I would like to end this video by touching on what I believe will be the release date of Chapter 3. I actually think Chapter 3 is a little bit further away than many believe. Game development has 3 main stages. Pre-production, where the concept is planned out, levels are designed on paper, art is drawn up, and a story and script are finalised. Programming, where the game comes together. This includes model making, building levels, and implementing gameplay like combat and puzzles. Post-production, where the game is polished up, tested for bugs, and audio is applied. After this process, a game must then be submitted to Steam for approval, a process that can take several weeks, and during this process advertising and promotion can take place. Now let's look at some information from the game's developer that we have about this process in relation to Chapter 3. In June, the Meatley said, "Settling in for some more level design today, one of my favourite parts of games development." This would put the game in the programming stages as of June. In July we had 2 tweets saying, "Adding secrets, #Chapter 3, and "Time for a long day of texture painting." This would put the game in the post-production stage as of July 22nd. So, with this in mind, as of the time of this video, late July, the game is in post-production, which means that once finished, there would still be a few weeks before it was ready to launch due to testing and the submission to the Steam store. Now the developer has stated he will be announcing the release date soon, so it does make sense to logically assume that Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 3 will launch late August to early September. Either way, remember to swing by here on launch day for a full playthrough as well as a story analysis and theory videos. And that's it for today's video guys, I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one, and I will see you on the next video.